to what it's called geography. We're going to look at a command word structure that won't come up in your exam, but it's one that you can use instead of evaluate, assess, discuss, justify, to what extent, do you agree. We're going to call this the multi-tool structure, and this fits all of those questions. We say multi-tool is not perfect, but it certainly gets you out of some difficult situations, and you'll probably be absolutely fine by using this structure in most of those answers. So the multi-tool structure, what is it? It's not perfect, but it's going to get you out of some difficult situations if you don't quite know how to structure your answer. So instead of using the command word evaluate, assess, discuss, justify, to what extent, do you agree, all those kind of things, if you just follow this structure, you're probably somewhere pretty close. Start off with your introduction, as before, talk about an example, talk about a case study, give me a positive, an advantage about something, use peel, make a mini decision, give me a disadvantage, use peel, give me a decision, then make a final decision at the end, and where you can, talk about the social, economic and environmental aspects, and that will fit almost all of those longer command words: evaluate, assess, discuss, justify, to what extent, do you agree. It's actually based on the evaluate structure, which isn't a huge difference from the other ones anyway, if you've looked at the other ones. There's quite a lot of information on here, so pause at this point, have a glance through it and just see if it makes sense before we go into a little bit more detail. You're going to write 4 sentences or 4 paragraphs. Number 1 is going to be your intro with the example and case study. Number 2 is your peel positive. Number 3 is your peel negative. Number 4 is your final decision. As ever, put a number on it, maybe 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 if you're towards agreement, 3 or 4 if you're towards disagreement, or even a percentage, 60 or 70, or 30 or 40%. Anything like that, it will really help your answer if you've got a number at the start. So a question example might be: discuss, assess, explain, evaluate, any of those fit, the impacts of coastal management scheme that you have studied. So we're going to look at the introduction. The introduction is a sentence. It's going to be the case study, a place name that's going to introduce us. You could refer to the social, economic and environmental. Number 2 is your peel and your positives, and then you're going to make a mini decision. Your mini decision is often the bit that students miss out. So let's see how this looks. So peel, explain and your positives. The main advantages of something are: this is because, this means that, as shown by, pop some data in there, give some examples and you'll be fine. Your mini decision is this bit here where it says this is important because, or this is significant because. Then your third paragraph is going to be your peel paragraph, which is point, evidence, explain, link back to the question, and your mini decision, which is about the disadvantages. The main disadvantages of something are: this is because, as shown by. Then make your mini decision, which is in bold and underlined here. Finally, you're going to weigh up the evidence and make your final decision. So in the pink box in the bottom right, it's got X is successful because. This is your final decision. Or X is significant because, and in this instance, X is your coastal management scheme that you have studied. Name a place in that. The answer structure on the following slide, you'll see that we've removed all the stuff from the left here. We've moved over everything to the left to give a space for a sample answer on the right hand side. So sample answer on the next slide. On the left hand side here, we've got the introduction, peel positives, peel negatives, mini decision, and your final overall decision where you've weighed up your evidence. In the centre, we've got SEE, which is social, economic and environmental. Then we've got the introduction, how to do your positives, how to do your negatives and mini decision, and how to do your final decision. So, the question itself. Evaluate the impacts of a coastal management scheme that you've studied. That could be 6 or 9 marks. So, the answer in the pink box is: the coastal management scheme in RIL has had significant social, economic and environmental impacts. That would be a nice start. The advantages: the main social advantage of using, and then you might say, the £15 million seawall to protect the coastline are: This is because, this means that. Economic advantages are, they can maybe talk about development on the seawall. This is because. Then make your mini decision. This is significant because. Then we're going to talk about the disadvantages. The main economic disadvantages are of using a seawall or groins, and it's maybe to do with the cost of them, and this is due to. And there may be other areas along the coastline that have not received coastal management strategies, and this is going to be significant. So maybe the installation of groins means that longshore drift doesn't carry material further down the coast. And your final important decision is, this is important because, this is significant because. At the end, you're going to make your final decision and say, I believe the advantages of coastal management strategies, or I believe the disadvantages of coastal management strategies are significant because, or the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So sum up what you think. The key points to remember from the multi-tool answer structure is it's not perfect, but if in doubt, use this structure. Instead of evaluate, assess, discuss, justify, to what extent do you agree, use it instead of those kind of command words. Essentially, when you're doing a case study, an example, positives with peel and a decision, negatives with peel and a decision, make your final decision, and along the way include SEE, social, economic and environmental. That will help and support your structure to get much better marks.